With more and more talk these days about porn addiction, you might be wondering whether that even applies to you. You might be asking yourself, do I have an addiction? Well, that may or may not be true. Many people tend to talk about addiction like a light switch that is either on or off. Either you're addicted or you're not. You have it or you don't. Researchers have actually found that pornography habits, like other problems, fall along more of a spectrum. This makes sense since our body, minds, and past experiences are all unique. On one end of the spectrum is, I'm free and I don't even think about it. And on the other end is feeling completely stuck. No one is fixed in a certain place on the spectrum, but we also don't slide up and down this continuum quickly. That's because of the brain's ability to develop habits, which are defined as a behavior pattern regularly followed until it has become almost involuntary. Rather than an on-off switch, forming habits is more like a dimmer switch that gradually changes from light to dark and back again, leading both your brain and behavior in a certain direction over time. If that's true, then maybe freedom won't necessarily come all at once, although it can happen that way for some. While staying open to exciting shifts, these insights about the brain and body can invite us to stay patient in a change process and encourage us to welcome small, gradual changes as a part of our journey to eventually reaching lasting freedom. Rather than only asking, do I have an addiction then? When you understand how the brain works, the better question is, how deep of a habit have I formed? Or, where am I on the spectrum? One way to answer that is to ask, how long have I been using pornography? A couple of months? A year? Multiple years? Obviously, that has an impact on the depth of the habit. Another thing to ask yourself is, how often do I turn to porn? Occasionally? Regularly? Or frequently? For some people, they may go a long while, even months, without turning to porn, but eventually they go back to it. We would call those occasional users. Other, more regular users may have a hard time staying away for a month, but they don't necessarily use every day or multiple times a week. By comparison, frequent users may turn to porn multiple times a week and on a more compulsive level. At this most intense level, the pattern becomes addictive, or what the medical field calls dependency, which is an irresistible compulsion that takes priority over almost everything else in life. No matter how strong the habit is, realize this: there's a way out. Fortify has been designed with this broad spectrum of struggle in mind, from milder to stronger levels of intensity. Whatever the details, we are going to do everything we can to help you create a plan unique to your own situation, gathering together everything that may possibly help you specifically move towards freedom. No matter the details, one thing we probably all have in common is knowing how it feels to be controlled and driven by an outside force. Even if the label of addiction doesn't apply, getting completely away from this stuff can be frustrating and even feel impossible at times. Did you know that the Latin root for the word addiction is dico, the same root that forms the word dictator? A dictator is a ruler with complete and total power over a country. How would you feel to live somewhere controlled by a dictator, where your freedom was restricted in any way? What would you feel in that situation? I mean, we'll tell you our answer. We wouldn't put up with it. We'd get angry and rebel. When our freedom to choose what makes us happy is restricted by anyone or anything, anger makes sense. So what do you say? Have you ever joined a rebellion? Are you with us? Maybe it's time to get a little ticked at being controlled and forced to keep doing something you really don't want to do deep down. You make the call. If you're in, we're ready.